Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking Triathlon, a triathlon podcast where James Bell, that's that guy, talks to Tim Ford, who is me. We are here, obviously, to talk all about everything that has been happening in the world of triathlon this week, which is actually pretty big, mate. There's plenty to get stuck into this week. There's a race happening. As shocking as this may be to you, we're still racing. It's nearly Christmas, but the racing's still going. How you going, James?
Yeah, not too bad. It's very strange, isn't it? November already, and yet we've still got one of the biggest races of the year yet to happen, and we've still got to do a hype podcast about it. I feel like I should be winding down now.
I was saying this, we were talking about this in our WhatsApp group yesterday, and I was asking the guys in like, what's their sort of hype levels for this race? Because I'm feeling the fatigue a little bit. Like it has really felt like a long year this year, like with, the Olympics, T100 launching, Ironman Pro Series, like Roth. Like it's actually like it is a really long year, and like we're just watching it. Imagine the poor bastards out there not only racing but expecting to win these things. Like you can understand why there's been so many. I mean, one of the things I guess we're probably going to discuss about this weekend's race is that there's been so many names
Yeah,
dropping
it's a
off that
race of
start
attrition, isn't
list,
it? Just getting to the start line.
and I think that probably is a side effect of the length of the season, right? And what you again,
I
we'll talk
mean,
about it later, but yeah,
you put
it's
a race of this magnitude at this time of the year, the December fatigue is gonna hit people because you get to sort of this part of December. By the time this podcast comes out, it'll be mid-December, and you do start to feel that end of year fatigue kicking in. We're all preconditioned to start thinking, "Fuck, I need a break" at this point.
mate, 100%. Like, and again, I think it's also fascinating that, or I guess what will be interesting is to see how a lot of athletes taking their end of season a little bit earlier will impact the next season. And I think the shining example of that this year was Sam Long, who came out absolutely all guns blazing. Was on an absolute tear. Same as Lionel Sanders, to be honest. Those two guys came out like absolutely firing at the start of this year, and both of them really dropped off around the middle of the year. And yeah,
Mm.
so I am very curious to see how things sort of shake out next year because, again, we'll probably talk about it next week, but or over the Christmas break. But there's going to be more races in the T100 series. Sounds like there's some changes to the T100 series that I think we'll probably keep behind the Patreon paywall to
Yeah, I was going to
discuss.
say, is that's not public yet, is it?
No, I don't think so.
No,
And not confirmed. And we, again, if we're going to talk about things publicly, I think we try to.
we don't speculate, do we?
No, 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 no. Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting to see if we're going to see more athletes who probably will. I think next season, to be honest, is probably going to be the real first time we see athletes sort of pick one or the other. Because like, the other
I think
thing,
so too. I think we're going to really start seeing some specialization next year. And even if people are straddling the two, it's going to be a light straddle,
mm,
with gaps in between races.
I mean, I was talking to people about this, and again, we'll get to this also later when we go through our nominations for the podcast awards or the categories. I can only really think of the one athlete who's done a good job of straddling both, to be honest, and that's Cat Matthews. Like again, when I think we've said a lot, and we are very happy to put up a hand and admit when we were wrong. But I remember at the start of the year when Kat sort of came out and said she was expecting to do well at both and being like, "Oh, she's serious? Like, I think this is going to be pretty tough." And she's fucking nailed it, man.
Yeah, yeah.
She's unless she crashes out this weekend, she's going to win the Pro Series. And she finished what, fourth overall in the T100 series with a number of podiums. You know, she 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 has done an exceptional job. So it shows it can be done. It just seems that nobody else seems to have worked out how to. Because again, you talk about athletes that I'd say Cat Matthews, and then I'd struggle to find another person that I think has done well consistently. So yeah, I think next year we'll probably start to see a bit more specialization. And then again, the other thing that is just so exciting to me about next year is the fact that it's that post-Olympic year. And I mean we know now there's so many of the names that are coming out saying they're doing it. The fact that Vincent Louis is done with short course, the fact that Henry Schoeman's done with short course, the fact that Martin Van Riel's done with short course, Yellow Gaines done with short course. And then I love this period. And I mean, the fact that one we talk about a lot today is Hayden Wilde racing 70.3 worlds. Is he going to go to LA? Who knows? Are we going to see him transition to like it's just a very exciting time. And I think that those athletes going into the mix, probably T100, I would assume. Again, depends on if what we discuss is true. Uh, yeah, I think next year could be a very, very exciting year. And Yeah, well, anyway, we'll talk about it. We just rambled. We got straight into it, mate, to be honest. How are things with you, mate? What's going on?
What's going on? Well, I'm just really busy, mate.
I mean, it's
We're
standard.
recording.
I think people just assume that, to be honest, because I could literally just grab that and I could automatically play that every single.
Yeah, put it in every single week. We're recording 3 days early because I'm getting the first train out of Devon tomorrow morning. I'm not back for a week, and recording whilst on the road has been done before from various hotel rooms, but this time of year it's particularly difficult because
You'll be
I'm
out
away
drinking.
with different colleagues in different cities, and
You'll be
it's
drinking,
like
mate. Let's
Christmas
not pretend. You'll just be
Christmas
getting.
dinner here, Christmas dinner there, Christmas do sort of thing. So it's a non-stop. It basically is a roller coaster until next Tuesday night from here on in, and then it's pretty much Christmas. So, but navigating all of that, mate, I am still doing all of my training, and we had to bring it back to another constant. We had a red weather warning this weekend in Devon,
What?
where I've never had it before, but my phone went off like a siren, and I got a government alert saying don't go outside for 24 hours because we had a storm and like 100-mile-an-hour winds.
Ah,
It
okay.
was it was insane. And 2 million people in Devon got the same alert, so we all had to hunker down. So I had to do my long run,
God.
my 16K long run on the treadmill on Sunday night, which was dreadful.
Honestly, did you just fucking love it, mate?
Oh
Not only are you
yeah,
guys obsessed with the weather, but now the government's sending you red weather alerts. I think it like I reckon
it
that there
was
was
yeah, it was
a lot of
unreal.
people
It
very
was
happy
like
to stay inside for 24 hours after
yeah,
receiving
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't stand up for 3 hours after I got that
I was
alert.
gonna say, do you guys when that happens, do you just like get your most favorite armchair, find your biggest window, and just sit and look at the weather? Like, is that what that prompts in you guys to
Oh,
just
mate. You took standard levels of UK weather chat, injected steroids in it for the weekend, and it just times by a million. The amount of WhatsApp groups and just like
oh
weather,
fuck.
wind. It's really windy.
Was
It
it
was
bad
insane.
weather? Was that actually wild or not really?
Oh, it was horrendous. Yeah, it was absolutely
Jesus
horrendous.
Christ.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll
There were
save
trees
that.
down everywhere.
Oh, mate,
People
disaster.
died.
Jesus. That's actually terrible. No, that's not good. I didn't realize it was that
Mm.
bad. We shouldn't joke about it, mate. Uh, no, I was going to say just again to re-emphasize what we said last week so people understand. We're taking 3 weeks off from so this week, this episode will come out on the 13th of December. Then we'll have an episode that will come out on the 20th of December. And then we will take 3 weeks off recording, but the content will not stop because we will record next week three bonus podcasts that will come out weekly for those 3 weeks that we're off that will be available at patreon.com/talking triathlon. So we are going to record this episode now. We're recording last month's bonus episode straight after this today. Next week, we'll record next week's last episode for the year and those bonus episodes which will come out. So if you want to get the content continuing over Christmas period, patreon.com/talking triathlon. If you sign up, you'll also get the other 15 bonus episodes we recorded. So do that as a little Christmas present to your two of your favorite triathlon talking boys. Yeah, that
And
would
I
be good.
mean, if you're starved of triathlon content across Christmas, and you got those periods of time where the family's over, and you just want to sneak away, and you wish you had some triathlon content to consume, signing up for a Patreon membership will guarantee that you've at least got a weekly podcast to keep you going.
Exactly. You were talking about training. I am the opposite, mate. I have not done any swim, bike, or run
Ah, but
in.
that's planned though, isn't it? So that's a
Correct.
good thing.
It is.
Yeah.
I feel disgusting. I feel like I've put on 100 kilos, but
Didn't
I
you go for
am
an acroaerobics class this morning though, or something, wasn't it?
aqua jogging. No, yeah, I
Aqua.
did body pump last night because
That
I've
was
still
it.
been going to the gym. That's the one thing I've been doing. But yeah, I wanted to do a class last night, and I was telling it absolutely buckled me. Like I mean, there was we had to do a. I don't know if people even remember what body pump is. It feels like something from the 80s now, but mate, that you did the squat stuff. So it's this squat, and I did the whole thing with the bar on my back, and the song finished. And I actually didn't know how I was going to get the weights off my shoulder. I was standing there going, "How do I do this?" Like, I don't think I can. Even doing this right now for people
What do
on
you normally
YouTube.
do when you say you go to the gym? What's your normal? Do you lift heavy or do
Yes,
you sort
very
of
heavy, low reps,
single leg stuff? Yeah.
five reps, as heavy as I can handle. Whole body. So I start with chest, then I do back, then I do lats, then I do deadlifts, I do knee stuff, calf stuff, then I do chest, shoulders, squats. Yeah, sort of whole body. Yeah, about an
Yep.
hour, about an hour.
Yeah.
Got a little
So
routine I do.
with that being your standard routine, I bet body pump fucked you right up.
In hell, mate. And again, I haven't done it in probably 10 years, but I remember like always underestimate, like give yourself less weight than you think. So I was gauging the room. I was looking around and like there was again, I'm not trying to generalize, but there was a woman who was literally a third my size next to me. And I thought, I'll go with her weight. She looks like she comes here a lot. So by the last thing, which was shoulders, I had to pick the little 1.25 kilo dumbbells. I could barely lift them above my shoulders. I was shaking so badly, but it was good workout. I actually might do more of it. I did enjoy it actually. It makes that hour go quite quickly. So but yeah, I will be back into training Saturday. Actually, first day back will be Saturday, which the whole point of a break, right, is you want to refresh, you want to reset, and you want to actually find that excitement for training again. And like I'm absolutely chomping at the bit to get stuck in. Like I'm really, really keen to start that build up for that race in July next year now. So I guess it's worked, which is good. Feel energized, feeling motivated, and ready to have do the work that I know I need to do to try to have a crack at a very, very good time in July. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Glad to hear it, man.
So let's talk triathlon. That's what they want to hear, mate. They want to get the nuts and bolts of our thoughts about the races we do and do not watch. Speaking of races we did not watch, I don't think you could watch it. Was India Wells 70.3 happened over the weekend. And I don't, again, have heaps to say about it because we didn't watch it. But I do want to talk about the results because there's a few things. And the reason I personally was following this race with so much interest was because Morgan Pearson, who has run a 101 marathon, half marathon, is it 101, 102, has run a very fast half marathon, was racing his first 70.3. Do you have the results there, mate?
I do. On the men's side, Morgan Pearson won it in 3:42.26 with Matt McElroy in 3:44.13, ahead of Lewis Woodgate in 3:45.41. On the women's side, Claire Michelle won it in 4:10.59, ahead of Erica Ackerlund in 4:14.12, and Anna Marie Strelo in 4:17.26.
So there's a few things to discuss with this. Firstly, Matt McElroy, I know trains with Tyler. He's one of those American guys that you've seen on the circuit for a few years. He's always there or thereabouts. So
Yeah.
really good to see him get that podium. But let's talk about Morgan Pearson because he is the one that I wanted to see how he performed. And do you realize that he had a flat tire during this race and lost the lead group? So had to ride himself back into the. Actually, I don't think he came in with the chase pack and then ran himself to the front of the race. Now, if you look at the run splits,
Yeah,
I think he
yeah, he
ran
was
a
he was well down in T2.
70 flat. I think he ran like 110. And according to his post on social media, he shut it down once he got a minute lead. He's like, that'll do. Just
Yeah,
jogged
he
the
ran a 1:10.08.
arc. And that's shutting it down.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Second fastest was 1:12.21, Colin Shook. And then third fastest was Matt McElroy in 1:12.40. And then everyone else was sort of cascading off that. Man can run, eh?
yeah, I think that he is a very, very bright shining star in the future for American triathlon. If he is sort of, because you forget he's now been to two Olympics. He's a big boy. He's been, if anything, I'd say inconsistent at WTCS. He is either fighting for the wins or podiums, or he's minutes behind.
Hmm.
And I know that he's had some problems. There
He's
was a
31.
Yeah, so he's right on that. You'd assume cusp of probably not going to try to go to the next level. But to be honest, it's LA, which can be a powerful sort of motivation if you're, want to race in front of the home crowd and stuff.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah, and also like, you know, the men's side of Olympic triathlon is not the most competitive arena.
Yeah. I think that what I know that from doing this podcast, as long as we have and doing it with Chris in the past, when you look at long distance racing, how important the run really is. Not that the others aren't, but Morgan does seem to be he worked on his swim a lot. There's a few WTCS races that he come out front pack. His bike is probably
Yeah,
his weakness, but he's a big boy.
he came out front pack in 70.3 Indian Wells.
So I
He
think
was a
that
couple of seconds behind the leader.
if he's going to be a competitive sort of swim bike and then drop probably the fastest run split in a lot of races he does, he could. This is a guy that we could see excel at middle/long distance racing. Yeah, he's a. I think I spoke with Tyler a few weeks ago about those athletes to watch for short course. Morgan Pearson is. I mean, people who've listened to this podcast for a long time will know that I think very highly of Morgan Pearson. So he's definitely one that like, I'm going to be watching his career with a lot of interest. I think he's a guy that gets me excited about the sport. So just good to see him sort of tick that box, get one done, give us a glimpse of what he can do. I'd still just love to see put him in a stacked field on a fast course against the Martins, against the who else we like those top runner guys, and I think we could see some absolute fireworks. So it's exciting, mate. It's very
Yeah,
exciting.
absolutely. Yeah, I think it will be very exciting in watching him transition if that's what he's doing from short course to long. Whether, like you say, whether he's going to go for LA, as yet undetermined. But looking at a result like this, if I was him, I'd be putting my eggs in the longer course basket now and leaning on that run over the longer distances and really leveraging that.
The other thing then in the women's race that I want to discuss is Claire Michelle, because in addition to the fact that she won this race, I didn't actually realize this, but it's her last professional race. She's retired as a result after this
Yeah,
race.
she said on Instagram, victory at the Ironman Tri 70.3 Indian Wells, stoked to close out my career this way and to share the moment with my family here. Thank you for everyone. Thank you everyone for the support, which is yeah, remarkable. Because I know that she had finished her short course career
Mm.
and she was going to be dabbling in 70.3. I didn't realize her dabble was going to be quite so short as this.
Yeah.
It's and to win a 70.3 and then instantly retire. Congratulations on a stellar career. Racing the Olympics as she did is no mean feat, and good luck for the future. But God, it would be nice to see her race a few more.
I mean, you're retired for a long time. Come on, Claire Michelle. It's not too late. Maybe it's time to reconsider that decision. Take a couple of weeks off over Christmas, have a few glasses of champagne at New Year's Eve and think, do I really want to go and get a desk job? Come on, it's not so bad swimming, biking, and running. No, I agree. I've always really liked Claire Michelle as an athlete. She's one of those kind of similar to what I was saying about Matt McElroy. Like she's a name that I've seen on a lot of start lists. I've always seen her and paid attention to Claire when she's raced. She's done Super League in the past, plenty of WTCS events. She has actually in Thailand and did the Laguna Phuket Tri recently. I think she finished fourth. But yeah, I was shocked actually to read because I think it was Triathlon Today put up a thing about it being her last race, and I had absolutely no idea. So I was trying to, and I went through her
Mm.
Instagram trying to find when she announced the retirement, and I couldn't find anything. So it seems as though it was just like, yeah, this was my last pro race, which, yeah, look, I hope it's not. It's not too late to change your mind. But again, if it is, congratulations on an incredible career. I know that Claire is one of the athlete liaisons with World Triathlon, so does a lot of stuff for the athletes behind the scenes off the course as well. So, yeah, there we go. Some good racing
Good on
happened
her.
in India Worlds. The other thing, and again, I don't know the specific details of this, but I do just want to have a little bit of a chat about this, mate. Do you know that the European cross country champs happened this week? And do you know why that's of interest?
Yeah, because there's a triathlete who was in it.
Hugo Milner
Yeah, there you go.
got a team bronze for Team GB, but there's so many photos of him running ahead of a Jakob Ingebrigtsen. So I just think
Yeah,
that
yeah,
it's
that
so
was it. He
cool.
was racing Ingebrigtsen, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Remarkable.
so good. Mate, Hugo
Yeah.
Milner again, he's the next Alex here, I think. If he can sort out his bike in particular, which is
Yeah, I
woeful
mean that's the thing. At the moment, he's an incredible runner, but I would say he's not a rounded triathlete by a long way yet.
at all. But I think again, I've said this before. I think that the good news is the bike is probably the easiest one to, especially in short course, because all you just need to be able to do is make that pack and have good handling skills. But that run is so exciting, like genuinely so exciting. Like similar to what we just spoke about with Morgan Pearson. They're probably quite similar
Yeah,
athletes. And
yeah.
he's relatively young. Went to Harvard University. Like, guy's crazy impressive. Uh, but yeah, I just wanted to have that little mention of him doing that. Because again, if you haven't seen it, guys, look up the photos. Because there's literally so many photos of him running ahead of Jakob Ingebrigtsen that just I find so cool. And it's like, yeah, he swims and bikes too. So just
Yeah,
wanted to
too right.
just wanted to chuck that in there. Now you had something you wanted to discuss, mate, because I think it's become a little bit clearer about one of our favorite topics to discuss this year has been about will he, won't he, Kristian Blummenfelt move into professional cycling. Apparently it was quite close, mate. You've got the inside scoop. By that I mean what he
Apparently he was.
would
He was
be.
on the Rich Roll podcast recently, and we'd heard rumors all year, wouldn't we, and rumblings that he was going to switch to pro cycling, and then suddenly he wasn't, and now he's put a bit of meat on those bones as to why. He said, we were looking at opportunities. It didn't help with the performances in Paris. Wanted to leave triathlon on a good performance. He says, the question of had he claimed gold in Paris, would he have jumped ship to pro cycling? I think so. Only living once. You want to take the chances you can and not be afraid of taking new challenges. But then also, I want to finish off well in triathlon. One thing that does, he said, one thing that it looks like now is that he'll be a triathlete for life. And to answer to that question, he said, I think it was either now or never. If I do it after LA, I'd be 34. I thought it was a great idea.
So,
So
so does that indicate that he's going for LA?
it looks like it, yeah.
Mate, Christian, my dude, don't do
Yeah,
it.
stop it.
Stop it.
Yeah,
Christian, mate,
yeah.
it didn't work. Stop it.
He said it was different to riding a group of triathletes to riding in the world tour,
Oh,
but he think
really?
his engine is his strength and being able to tolerate a high volume over not just days but weeks.
I
I think it's
mean,
important to not be afraid of taking the challenge and jumping into new stuff. Often, like when I'm standing on the start line of a race I've been preparing for, the biggest reason why they may be nervous for the race is because they are nervous to fail, and I think that's been a strength this whole project. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like he was actually very, I always thought it was a bit of a marketing piss take, but it sounds like the conversations were actually taking place and he was actually quite close to pulling that pin.
I
But
mean,
if
so
it
was I, mate.
hinged on him getting a gold in Paris,
I mean, to be honest, I had a very similar experience. I actually don't think people realize this, but I was also incredibly close. I'm going to come out now and explain how close I was to becoming a pro cyclist. Like, yeah,
oh,
I was so close. I
I'm
just,
still, I'm still undecided at this point as to whether I'm going to race for Mercedes next year or not.
yeah, it's true.
In F1, I might do,
I mean, yeah, I
but
think that if
I'll
my
make
last
my
race had
mind
gone a
up
bit
when
better,
January comes around.
yeah, I probably also would have made the decision to switch to pro cycling. But alas, it was then on it never, and I'm probably therefore not going to do it now. So pro cycling, you're
Yeah.
lucky. But I do love the line that it's like I know that a short course for triathletes will tell us how hard it is to ride in the pack, and we know that it is, but it ain't. It ain't riding in a pro peloton, that's for damn sure.
No, it ain't. It's a very different kind of experience and kind of race, and even the duration. The duration. I mean, yes, in the riding in a pack in a short course triathlon, it's going to be intense and it's going to be hard, and I would struggle to hold on to the pack. Like, any of us who are relatively fit people would not be able to hold on to the back of that pack, but it ain't the same as riding hour after hour after hour across varying terrain day after day after day, putting out huge watts, responding to surges, riding up and down mountains. It's a different thing.
I also think I
It's a
saw
different sport. So,
I think Try
of course, it's
24/7
a different sport.
did a bit of a summary about this, and they were also saying one of the factors was the money because there's just not that much money for like an entry level sort of domestique beginner pro compared to
Yeah.
what he was earning in triathlon. I thought that's like because that's what we'd speculated on a bit when this was coming up, and we were taking it a bit more serious than we are now. We were talking a lot about the limits on his earning potential compared, or if the earning potential was bigger in cycling because cycling is going through a bit of a renaissance and a boom. I'm not surprised to hear that. Like Christian would be doing
No,
very,
no.
very
I
well.
mean, what probably happened was the discussions were taking place, and in the mind of Christian Blue, I don't want to put thoughts in his head, but he was probably thinking, right, well, I'm going to get a decent salary as if not a team leader, then as near as damn it to a team leader. And then when the actual conversations and contract conversations took place, you've got whatever teams he was talking to were probably like, no, actually, you're going to be earning this because you're going to be coming in as a domestique. Um, and that probably didn't float his boat.
Mm, I think that's very much the case. I think here we're going to write down a number and we're going to slide across the table. He looks up and
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, I'm going back to triathlon. I'm not doing
Yeah.
this. I don't
And
get out
that's
of
the
bed for
problem
that."
when you're one of the best triathletes in the world. You're winning races, you're enticing sponsors. We know how hard the landscape is at the moment. And there are only a few names in this sport that really do pull in the big sponsors and the big numbers.
He's
And
one of
he's one
them.
of them.
I think it's very interesting because I've seen a lot of discussion. I've been part of discussions internally, external, whatever, that he's sort of lost it a little bit. And I just think it's worth remembering that this is a guy who has been literally nearly going to pro cycling, focusing on the Olympics. Like he has been so thinly spread for many, many years now. We've never truly seen Kristian Blummenfelt focus on long distance triathlon. Everything that he has achieved, which is significant, he's won an Ironman world title. He's won two 70.3 world titles, at least one 70.3 world title. He's won the Olympic gold. He's won the WTCS title. That's
Does he?
that's it's true. In 2022, he's the WTCS world champion. Probably his most significant achievement, actually. But that's all been done at the same time. And again, hopefully, if I mean, look again, one of the things I always love about Kristian is the way that he does chase. That you sort of do things unconventionally. But if you take away the potential race in LA, I can't see him racing in LA. But if we just see him do long distance now, I think that he will very quickly go back to being one of the better ones. A lot of people saying they're done. I think it's a
I
lot.
mean, you've only got to look at what he did after Paris. You know, he came 12th in Paris, then he hopped over to do an Ironman and dominated everybody.
Mm, yeah,
That's not the sign of a man who's lost it.
no.
That's just, the ability to go from that race in Paris and then go and do what he did in Germany is astounding.
Kristian will probably get nominated for one of our awards. I think maybe the Lionel Award for what happened in Kona. But no, I really, from what their plans are next year, he's come out, I think, and announced his season next year, focusing on the Pro Series. The way he wants to structure his year around winning Nice gets me very excited. I mean, do you think I was talking with Mac about this last week at our Christmas lunch, and we were talking about Kristian and Nice, and Chris was talking a lot about his size being a sort of limiting factor on that course. And I was saying to him, because I said you've raced, you've done that course a lot of times, Chris. It's not that, like, it's not a Tour de France course, right? Like, it's not a super. There's one very very steep climb at the very start, like probably 10K into the bike. It's like actually horrible, but the rest of it's not that tough. And yeah, he was less convinced. He said that maybe his body shape and stuff will be a limiting factor. But again, I just look at athletes like Magnus and stuff who are, Magnus is a big boy, probably weighs more than Kristian does, and they
I
do
mean,
quite well.
I don't know whether it's fair to say, but I don't give a fuck if he wins Nice or not.
You only care about
I
Kona.
give a fuck whether he chalks up that Kona
I
victory
mean,
or not.
it's very true, right? And again, what we said off the back of Kona is, like, he could be that next Macca athlete, the guy that, physiologically you look at him and you think this guy has no business winning this race. And he's come there, like, like, again, look at it. Came there, said he was going to win the thing, didn't, came third. Everybody sort of, I mean, I literally didn't think anybody else would win it this year, except for Kristian. Didn't win it. There is a certain Macca-ness to him.
Mm,
And yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, he could do whatever he does in Nice. I'm probably going to be paying more attention the year after when he rocks up to
yeah.
Kona. Yeah,
If he wins in Nice, all that does is underline that he's a fantastic triathlete who's got another world championship under his belt.
but not the one that
Will he win
matters.
Kona?
But not the one that matters.
Not the
The
one that
the,
matters in my mind.
the
And yeah, you're
two,
right. Climbing
yeah,
out of Nice is grim. I've done it and it's grim.
the
But
yeah,
once you get out of Nice on that course, things get a little bit easier.
yeah. The two asterisks, I think, that are, and at this moment, one that he'll never be able to get rid of now because it's not possible, is that he lost that race to Jan Frodeno, which to me will always be a factor when you'd have that greatest of all time discussion, and the fact that he hasn't won Kona. They're the two little asterisks next to Kristian, like little strikes
Yeah.
against his name at this
He
point in time.
lost that race to Jan Frodeno, an aging Jan Frodeno who was on his sort of, retirement lap.
Who came down in distance, who came down in the
Yeah.
distance towards what Kristian should be better at. Like that, yeah, that's why that race was so important to me. Speaking of coming down in distance, there is a middle distance race that is happening this weekend in Taupo on the North Island of New Zealand, on the banks of Lake Taupo. It's the 70.3 World Championships, mate.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. And like we said at the start of the podcast, it's very strange to be talking about that at this time of year. I've got some friends who are out there who traveled for, between 40 and 70 hours to get there.
Come
And
on, that's an exaggeration. It's not that. We're not literally in the fucking, not that
no,
far.
I mean, they're including the drive from Devon up to London and
I suppose the
buggering
drive.
about and all of that,
It's also a 3 hour
you
drive
know.
from Auckland to Taupo. So,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
there's a considerable amount from start to finish, I think.
Apparently, roadworks
But
on the
anyway,
highway too in New Zealand. Just what you want after 30 hours of travel to have to take the back way. Fucking wind through those New Zealand back streets.
I've seen plenty of very, very beautiful pictures. What a country New Zealand is. I lived there for a year in 2004 and I love the place. And it's stunning. And seeing all these pictures of all people I know in different parts of New Zealand training on beautiful roads, beautiful vistas, I'm quite jealous. I wish I was there.
Have you been to Taupo? You live there. Have you
Yeah.
been there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you'd familiar. It's a good little spot. It's a good
Yeah,
spot.
yeah. Beautiful place.
Mm.
Beautiful place. Um, Road quality leaves a bit to be desired at certain points, from what I remember.
Yes, the
But
roads are. I mean, I've not done. I've said I'm not going. I was meant to be racing. I'm not. I've done the 70.3 in December there two times in the past. I think 2015 and 16. I did it. Uh, so I have experienced this course a few times at some year. The one thing I will add to everybody playing along at home is this time of year that lake is freezing cold, like freezing. You get in, your legs will cramp cold. It is the most beautiful body of water I've ever swum in, including the swim at Kona. Like the water is crystal clear. You have to get your wetsuits treated before you can even put them in the lake because the water is so pristine. But it's cold because all the snow is melted. So that's just the one little factor. And it's also interesting that this year it's a point-to-point swim. So there's a river that flows out of the lake and it's got a really strong current, which is over near where transition used to be, but they've moved transition to the other side of town this year. So interestingly, you still start at the same spot, but it used to be a big square and you'd come back there and get out and there was this huge run up to like literally you had to run up 50 stairs to get up to transition. It was quite unique. But they've swum, make it a point to point swim this year, going to the other side of town. So transition will be on the other side of Taupo, which means you're going to be starting with that kind of slight current pulling against you a little bit, which can make for a kind of interesting swim style. But otherwise,
yeah.
it'll just be a beautiful. Hopefully, the wind isn't up, or hopefully it is up. It'll be a beautiful swim in a beautiful lake, followed by a deceptively tough course on a road that you do not get your money's worth out of the effort you put in, and then a really really lovely run along the water. So it'll be a good event.
Yes, indeed, it will. When is it? It was on Saturday, isn't it?
Split
Saturday with
days?
the race beginning at 7 o'clock local time. Um,
Is it 2 days or
no,
is it
no,
one day?
I
I
think
don't
it's
know
one
actually.
day. Oh
No,
no,
the
the women's race begins at 7 o'clock local time. Um, how does yeah? Hang on a second. Is it 2 days?
I think it's 2 days. Are the women Friday?
The race takes place Saturday, December 14th. The women's pro race will begin at 7 o'clock local time. That corresponds to 6 o'clock in the UK. And
I swear to God, there's 2 days.
interesting. Well, it says here that the race is on the Saturday.
Let me have a
But
look. Keep talking. Start going through the start list, and I'll go to this.
yeah, I mean, for me, the most important name on the start list is Taylor Knibb. And then obviously Kat Matthews, Imogen Simmons, Paula Finley, Ashley Gentle, Ellie Salthouse, Julie Derron,
Slow
Jackie
down.
Herring,
Slow down. Go through it again.
Taylor Knibb, Kat Matthews, Imogen Simmons,
Yep.
Paula Finley, Ashley Gentle, Ellie Salthouse, Julie Derron, Jackie Herring, Marja Stage Nielsen, Danielle Lewis, Lottie Wilms. Who else? I'm pulling out names now. Sarah Perez Sala, Tamara Jewett, Grace Thek.
That's
Jodie
clean.
Stimpson's on there.
That's cool. Uh,
That is
men
cool.
men are December 15th, women are December 14th. So it is over 2 days.
Okay,
So
that's
Saturday,
weird. So
Sunday.
this article got that wrong then.
Yeah, so
And
Saturday's
then
women, Sunday's men's, that's what it was
okay,
recently.
and on the men's side, Rico Bogan, Matthias Margier, Yuri Kulin, Mark Durbrick, Josh Amberger, Hayden Wilde, the legend, Leo Bergère,
Mm,
Matt Hansen,
mm.
Matthew Marquardt. Who else we got? Christian Hogenhardt, Kyle Smith, Casper
Kryle?
Storms.
Who's Kryle Smith? I know Kyle Smith.
Yeah,
Who
that's right.
is Kryle?
He's
His
the
like
late
evil twin?
Jason West. Um, I'm looking for other
Ella
names
Gaines,
here.
Henry Schoeman.
Henry Schumann, Yellow Gaines. Uh, loads of people, mate. Christ, this is a heavy start list, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's going to be interesting watching the race unfold. Talking about the women's first, I mean, I can't see past anyone other than Taylor Knibb.
100%, especially after what we saw her do in Dubai.
Mm,
The lengths that she will go to win a race. I think I mean, look,
yeah.
Ironman, anything can happen. Uh, I think that unless she gets knocked off a bike or something, and God, I hope that doesn't happen. I think Taylor Knibb wins this. The thing that is really exciting, and it is something that we have been asking for years at this point, is for Ashley Gentle to race 70.3 worlds. I feel like if she had have raced a few in the past, she'd have a few world titles. She hasn't. And now she comes in against Taylor Knibb, who I can't see being beaten. And this will be Taylor's third, fourth, 70.3 or four. She's won a few already. Uh,
Yeah. The I mean, the only contributing factor to this, I think, is the time of year. It's the end. It's mid-December by the time this race takes place. Everyone's gonna be fatigued. She's not above getting tired and just being fatigued from a long season and having a bad race. If we look at her on her peak form this year, yes, she's going to dominate everybody. But you never know what's going to happen on the day. You never know because she's worked hard this year to get the results that she's got. She's been working hard from the very start of the year. She's been through an Olympic campaign, and then she's gone on to the T100, and now she's finishing with a 70.3 world. Sorry, yeah, I've got a little bit of reflux there as I was mid sentence. So you never know what's going to happen on the day. Um, and there are some incredible athletes that she's facing.
I think the points you made are really valid. I would. So again, I said before. So Kat Matthews basically, she finishes this race within. I can't remember. She's going to win the Pro Series. Kat's the one I think we spoke like. She has to show she's human at some point, and I think it has been a really long season for Kat. Interestingly, she wasn't really on the pace in Dubai. We saw her really just sort of go through the motions a bit in Ibiza, but like it has been an exceptionally long season for Kat Matthews. So she's one that I do have a bit of question mark over. Like, I think I would quite happily probably put Kat on as a potential podium getter, especially on this course. But there is that sort of question mark for me. I mean, I think that all the points you made are valid. I think Taylor Knibb's probably not had as tough a season as a few others because if you look at the way her season has sort of gone, she's had lots of big breaks. She didn't race Nice. She had time. Like she's I feel like at least spaced her season out really, really well. And even comparing against some of the others, Ash General popped in Dubai when Taylor didn't. So I mean, you're right. It's incredibly possible. I just think, yeah, like it's bad, right? When I'm so confident because often it doesn't pay out. But I'd be very surprised to see anybody knock Taylor off. The other athlete that is there that I don't know if you mentioned her, you might have, I can't remember, is Julie Darren. Julie Darren is an athlete
Yeah,
who has
I did.
stormed onto the scene this year in terms of I mean, again, an athlete that we've always been aware of, but won that silver medal in Paris for me, which was a huge out. Like I would not have picked her for the podium. I wouldn't have, and I don't think many people would have. And then to see the way she's gone onto the T100 series this year and just made such an impact as a wildcard athlete to finish as high as she did, uh, that's another huge factor in this. So I think that the potential for this race is really exciting. Paula Finlay, being as strong a cyclist as she is, this is going to be a course that favors strong cyclists. Probably strong, bike runners because you're going to really have to work. Like this is a course you work the whole way except for the last bit into town. But that's also probably why I expect Taylor to dominate the thing, mate, because she is just head and shoulders above literally every other person in the field on the bike.
Agreed. And she's no slouch in the swim. So she'll be in that front group in the swim. She will dominate that bike. And it's a muscular bike course. Like you say, it's got
It is.
work. It's got work all the way through it. So if she's on form, I don't see anyone being able to hold that wheel. And then
At
all
all.
she's got to do is finish the
Is
run as she can.
is India Lee racing? But did you say her name?
I didn't see her on the start list.
Me neither. She's an athlete that I would put right. Like if India Lee was on this start list, I would think she could do some. Like she actually probably could be the athlete I think that could go the closest to stick in with Taylor.
Yeah, I can't see her on the start list.
Okay.
You said Kat Matthews is likely to win the Pro Series, and she is. But Jackie Herring, who is leading the Pro Series at the moment, is also racing this race. So,
Yeah, but Kat has
were she
one
to
less
finish,
race. If you look at the way their races are structured, Jackie Herring's already got two 70.3 points or two 70.3 races for points. Kat's only got one. So even if Jackie wins, like her improvements are only like relatively
uh,
small, whereas Kat's going to get the whole amount. That's why I think Kat's going to, yeah.
no, fair enough. Yeah, I
That's why I don't
hadn't
think it's a
considered
close
that.
because you're right. She is in second place at the moment, but she has one race in hand compared to Jackie.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what I'm saying. Unless she crashes, basically, if she finishes this race, she should win the thing. Um, it is extra. What is an extra 500 points because it's 70.3 worlds, but yeah, that's just worth noting. She's only got one 70.3 count for her points at the moment, but she's got two wins and a second, I think. Yeah, second place from. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So
I'd
do we
quite
want?
like to see Jodie Stimpson do well.
I'd love
You
to
know,
see Jodie Stimson do
I
well.
really would. It's been a while since we've seen her have a result of this caliber, and I'd love to see her do well.
Now, I just realized that we've made a bit of a habit this year. We go through our top five to sort of make our picks for the race, and I haven't done my picks for this race yet, so I don't think we're going to be able to do that today. So I guess we just have to go through and
I
make our
haven't
podium
done my
picks.
picks for this race either.
So I guess live right now, we're going to have to be doing our picks on the spot, mate. Um, I think we're probably going to have a pretty similar podium, to be honest. I mean, for me, the top three is pretty obvious.
Mm.
In the order of second and third is probably, I mean, I think we're both going to agree on first place, to be honest.
Yeah, Taylor Knibb's gonna win the thing, in my
Yep,
opinion.
I agree. Who's your second?
I am. I mean, I'm tempted to put Julie Darren up there, to be honest.
That's who my 100%. For me, it's Julie Darren.
Mm.
I was battling between her and because then Ash Channel's third place for me.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
Damn, we got the same.
So, yeah.
I mean, I think it's a lot of people are probably going to have those three athletes up there.
Yeah. And then are we
Cat
going for
Matthews could be
five?
podium as well. I think I actually wouldn't be like we say that like the wild card pick, not that it's really I would not be surprised to see Cat Matthews on the podium at this race. I think that the bike course again will suit an athlete like Cat, and she is one hell of a runner. She's not an Ash General Julie Darren runner, but she's an exceptional runner. Oh, maybe I'll put Cat on the podium. Maybe I'll put Cat on the podium.
I'm going to put
Oh,
Cat in fourth place.
yeah.
And
Fuck, we're gonna
then
have Paula
and
Finlay.
then I'm going to put Ellie Salterhouse in fifth.
No, it's Paula Finlay over Ellie Salthouse, I think. Ellie's been a bit soft this year. She's had some great races, but I just don't think we've not seen it. You know, she didn't get a T100 contract. She's one of, yeah, I don't know. I love Ellie. I think she's wonderful. I don't see her. I could see top 10 for Ellie. I don't see top five.
Fair enough. Then we disagree on that.
Fifth place. So I'll go, who did I say for fifth? For Paula Finlay. God,
Yeah.
I've really gone out of limb with my top five. Fucking
Yeah, yeah,
hell.
really put the boat out there. So on the men's race, I mean, I am convinced that Hayden Wilde's going to win this.
Which makes me think
You
he's
are
probably
less
not
so.
going to. Because, yeah, you're so confident that maybe the curse of Paris will come back and bite him in the ass. I'm not as convinced. Yeah, to be honest, I think that while Hayden is an exceptional athlete and he's done very well at 70.3s, I just have this lingering memory of when he did that Collins Cup race and got his ass fucking handed to him by Kristian. Remember they were on the bike together and the footage cut away. And next time we came back to them, there was this huge gap. Like Kristian had just dropped him. Obviously, that was a few years
Yeah,
ago, and Hayden is a different athlete now. But I do think that there's enough other athletes in this field that could challenge him. I would not be surprised if he won it. I'm not as convinced that he will as you are. And I will probably not pick Hayden for the win at this race.
fair enough. Well, I mean, there are plenty of very high quality athletes on this start list,
Well, let's have a
are there
talk.
not?
Let's have a chat. So looking at it, I mean, we sort of discussed how we see the women's race going. So for you, it's a foregone conclusion. It's Hayden Wilde's going to probably be the one that wins this.
Yeah, I think so. I
Mhm.
think so. I had a quick chat with Brad Beer yesterday. He's going out there to support him, and he's as convinced as ever, and he convinced me.
Brad's a good salesman. Um,
Yeah, he is. He is. Yeah.
yeah, like I said, I really wouldn't be surprised to see Hayden do it. I think the athlete that I look, some people are talking about, but I don't think enough people are talking about is Leo Bergère. I think Leo could be very, very dangerous on this course. I mean, there's a lot of them, right? Like, I think Rico likes being the world champion. I don't think he's going to defend, but I think he'll be right up there. I think basically, if you're a short course athlete, I think you've got a shot at a podium in this race. So that's a Yella Gaines, that's a Henry Schumann, Leah Bergère, Hayden Wilde. I'm sure there are others, but to me, that's the group that I really am. Kyle Smith. I mean, I know people. I still consider Kyle a former short course guy because that's he was trying to go to the Olympics this year with Hayden. Uh,
Yeah.
I wish I was saying this. I wish Vincent Louis and Martin Van Riel were in this field. I wish Lionel Sanders was in this field.
Oh, so do I. So do I. Yuri Kulin's out now as well.
Is he? God,
Mm.
are you joking?
No, 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 no.
Fucking hell.
Very recently announced. He's out of the Ironman 70.3 World Championships. Um, What is wrong? He said, after getting sick following Dubai, my body just can't recover enough to handle the training needed for the 70.3 Worlds. Mentally, I also felt like I was done. I gave everything I had this season. It's been more than I could ever imagine at the start, but I just couldn't bring on the preparation required to race
Uh,
this level.
I think it's fair.
Knackered,
Yeah,
mate. Yeah, I would be as well.
plenty are. Plenty
Probably
are.
just like he's got his Christmas tree up, he's mulling some wine or whatever.
It is a big ask, right, to put it this late in the, and I understand why they've done it, and I think it's great for New Zealand and everything. But now that we're here, I think it probably shouldn't happen in this part of the year. I think it's a little unfair on a lot of the athletes.
It's a
So,
little late, isn't it? It's a little late in the day. But yeah,
so
I think
you think
Rico
Hayden's
Bogan could have something to say here as well. The
100%?
reigning 70.3 world champion. He's proved himself this year that he's not that flash in the pan. It just happened on that day. He's got a career ahead of him, and I think he could have something to say this weekend as well.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's going to win it. I think he's going to probably be in the top five or top. I think he could be in the podium or top five. I don't see him winning it just because, if anything, there is just that slight weakness. Not that he's a bad runner, but we saw what happened in was it Challenge
Yeah.
Samarkand where he got run down by both Kristian and Gustav, and Gustav wasn't in the peak form. And you've got guys here that are all probably going to be running very close to, if not under 110 half marathons off the bike. Uh, so so yeah, and I think similar to what we said with the women's right is that this is a bike course that's going to suit those. This and to be honest, like we assume or we talk about athletes like Hayden Wilde and how good they are on the bike. That's at draft legal racing, and this is on a time trial bike, different format. Maybe we won't see as much dominant. I would expect to see Hayden, doing really, really on the bike on this course. But Kyle Smith is another one that I think we'll see absolutely rip the thing. Uh, yeah. What do you think, mate? How do you see this thing going? Come on, let's start discussing our picks now. How do you see this race
Um,
unfolding?
I think for the win, I've got Hayden Wild, as I've already said. I
Explain to
think
me
he's gonna
why.
have a,
How's it going to go?
think he's gonna have a blinder. He is, as we've said, he's a hell of a bike rider. Yes, it's 70.3, and yes, it's non-drafting, but I think he's got that power and muscularity on the bike to be able to cope with this type of course. And he's got a run. He's got a run that will see him cross the line in first place once he gets off the bike in the position he's going to be in, which I think is going to be ahead of most people.
Also worth
Um,
noting that when he does these events, he's a front pack swimmer. When he's done
yeah.
70.3s in the
Oh yeah,
past,
100%. Yeah.
he's not
His
he's
swim isn't a limiting factor at 17.3.
yeah, exactly. So that's another factor. I think we'll probably see a big pack on the bike, to be honest. I don't think we're going to see the split that we'll see in the women's race, that the Taylor minutes up the road. I think that there'll be probably a group of them. I think for me, I have this thought that Hayden is going to be on the front of that group. Even though it's non-draft, there's still an advantage, right, to sitting in that pack, especially what is it, 12 meters. And I think Hayden's the sort of guy that we've seen it enough at
You think
short
he's going to
course.
waste himself driving at the front of that group?
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's a lot of runners who will be behind him. Because you're gonna have basically all those short course guys are gonna be in that front pack. All of them. Rico
Mm.
Bergen will be there too. Rico and Hayden will probably do a lot of the work on the front. And it's a half marathon. It's not a 10K, which is it's a long way to run, mate. And so I'm trying to look up. I want to see what his best half distance runs are in a 70.3 as we speak. But I would probably say if you've gone Hayden for the win, I'm going to pick Leo Bergère for the win.
Yeah, it's a strong call.
Yeah.
And it's defensible, definitely. But I'm going to put Kyle Smith in my second place.
I see. I say that now, but then I look. He did that 70.3 in Melbourne last year, and he ran a 108 off a
Fair.
156 bike.
There you go. So I got Hayden Wild, you got Liam Berger, I got Carl Smith in my second place. Who's your second place?
My second place is see, hmm, because I don't pick him for the win doesn't mean I don't pick him. I'm going to pick Yellow Gaines for second place. I
Fair
think
play.
I think that we've seen him start this year. He's been on the podium. He's been consistently on the podium, without like properly committing because he still went to Paris this year. He did that race where like there wasn't something wrong with Martin Van Riel in Vegas. He beat Martin Van Riel fair and square on a tough course. I think is actually bike in particular is a similar style to Taupo, probably better roads in America, but still that sort of undulation. He's light as well, so that he should have a relatively easier time going up those climbs. I'm going to go with Yellow Gaines. I think we're about to see another one of those athletes that's going to do really, really well at middle distance. So I think I'm going to pick Yellow Gaines for second.
So I've got Hayden, Kyle Smith. My third place is going to be Bogan, mate.
So just
Full on Rico.
you've just made me quit because I've just looked up at Leo Bergère 70.3 times, and he has done 3 runs, all the same, and they are all a 70-minute flat run. So Hayden did one at 68. Leo's done 3 at 70, which does make me go, "Ugh,
You've made your pick, my friend.
maybe I fuck. I'll stand by it. I have a feeling about Leo Bergère. So who's your set? You've got Rico Bogan.
Rico Bogan is third. Kyle Smith is my second.
Okay. So Carl Smith second, Rico Bogan third. I'm going to go Hayden Wilde, Yellow Gaines.
No, you're not. You said Leo Bergère
Yeah,
first.
sorry, who did I say first?
You said Hayden.
No,
You just.
sorry. Yeah, Leo Bergère first, Yellow Gaines second, Hayden Wilde third.
All right. Cool. Then my fourth place is going to be Leo Bergère.
My fourth place is going to be Carl Smith.
Cool, cool.
Fifth
And
place, we
then
might as well do it.
fifth place. I mean,
I'm going Henry. I'll
Henry
put Henry at
Schoeman.
fifth. Yeah, I'll put Henry at fifth too.
All right. There you
I,
go.
th I think we've seen a slight weakness with Henry on the bike. He'll probably be first out of the water, to be honest.
Yeah.
He'll sit in, I think, on that bike group because it's not like 70, it's not like a T100 where it's 20 meters, it's 12 meters, so he'll have an easier time sitting in. And it's just a question of where his run is at because I know that he has been doing some like very good run training. Yeah, I think that's a good top five. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I certainly am. I am feeling a bit of the fatigue, and I don't think there's as much hype as there probably was in some of the other races we've seen this year. But it's a beautiful race. It's a beautiful part of the world. I'm really happy that New Zealand gets a world championship. Uh,
A long time coming as well, you know. It's been a journey to get to this race actually playing out.
well, I qualified for that race in 2019, so
Yeah.
yeah, and here I am not going. Typical. Anyway, let's talk about the next thing, and that is next week we are going to announce our Talking Triathlon podcast awards. And in order to do that, we have to give you guys the categories and tell you about how we're going to do it. Because how we've done this in the past is we've just done it ourselves, and sometimes we've put a bit of a poll up. And I think last year what we did, and the same we'll do this year, is we'll have a bit of a discussion now about who are some of our nominees. We don't have the full list yet, but basically the sort of things we're thinking. I'll put up a Google Forms poll, and I will share that with our patrons at patreon.com/talking triathlon, as well as in the WhatsApp group. And we will allow our patrons to vote on who their choices are for the winner. And then next week, after we discuss 70.3 Worlds, we will go through and we will decide on our podcast awards for 2024. And how we've done it in the past is we will both get a vote. And then if we are in disagreement, we go to the polls, and the polls are the decider. So let's say our
The
male triathlete
people
of the
that have
year.
won these awards in the past have been in touch and told us that they're life changing.
I mean, I'm telling you, Flora Duffy won it in 2022 when she won the gold medal. I think that was probably more significant. Back then, it was
I
the
think
MX
so.
Endurance Award. I think that was probably, her greatest achievement
Oh,
compared to winning the gold.
it hangs higher on her wall than the gold medal.
And I mean, to be honest, we are the home of the biggest award in triathlon, the Lionel Award for Chuck and Lionel. And every time we do this, we get people outraged that we have an award named after Lionel Sanders. But we do it anyway because I think it's funny, and it's not a
I also
disrespect.
think it's funny
I
and well
just think
deserved.
it's funny. So, without further ado, we will go through the categories or the the categories of awards, and we'll have a bit of a discussion. We're not going to give away like we did with we're not going to say who we think is going to win it, but we will just discuss who we think should be nominated. Some of them we have more of an idea. Others, I'll go away and think about it today before I put together the form. But the first category we have is Female Triathlete of the Year. Now, I think there is a very good little short list of athletes that we can put together for Female Athlete of the Year. Who's your first nominee, or who do you think are some of the names we should consider for Female Athlete of the Year?
I mean, Taylor Knibb's going to be on there,
Yep,
obviously.
obviously.
Cassandra Beaugrand is going to be on there,
Yep, I
clearly.
agree.
I think Kat Matthews is worth a nomination because of the way
How
she
consistent
straddled the
she's
two
been.
series so successfully.
I agree.
I think Georgia Taylor Brown needs to be on there.
Yeah, so she won Super Try. Laura Phillip,
Indeed.
Ironman World Champion.
Absolutely. And I think just as a nomination, I think Julie Derren maybe as a wild card nominee, just because of the way she's announced herself on the stage.
What about India Lee? She won.
India Lee, yeah.
Yeah, but she's really faded, unfortunately, the back end of the year,
Mm.
which I know is like, India. She's just still had such a good season. I'm going to put her down. Doesn't have to mean she'll actually make the cut. Both of them, India Lee and who'd you say?
Julie
God,
Derren.
Julie Darren. Okay, I think there's some good names there. One, two, three, four, five. We'll have to reduce it a little. I mean, we don't. We can put whoever we want on the bloody thing.
Yeah, we can sanity check them as well.
Exactly. Okay. Male triathlete of the year. Who are you thinking for this year? I think there's actually a
Well,
few.
I did the T100 London, didn't I? So I think I should be on that list.
James Bale, top of the list. Yep, I've got
There
you
you go.
there. I think the tricep. I'm actually going to nominate that tricep for another award later
I
on. But
think Alex Hughes got to be up there. Patrick Lang's got to be on this list. Hayden Wilde's got to be on this list. I'd like to see Kristian Blummenfelt on it as well, just because of the way he bounced back from the Olympics and went and dominated that Ironman. Um,
MVR,
who else?
Martin.
Martin Van Riel, yeah, because of his domination of the T100 series. 100% should be on there.
I really want to put Sam Laidlow in there, only because yeah, he really surprised me this year with
Resilience.
yeah, fucking some of those performances he had. Look, he's probably not going to win the thing, but I still think he probably deserves a nomination. He's won me over this year in a not that I never hate him. He wasn't my favorite athlete, but he's done a lot to make me sort of yeah. I certainly have a lot more love for the guy this year in the like he's just the way he races. I really respect the fact that he just takes. I love athletes that take big swings. So yeah, I think Sam gets a nomination. I mean, I want to put Rico in there too as a potential nominee, just because again he makes me enjoy watching races. He really does.
Bogues. Love it.
Bogues. I love Rico. All right, that's the first two categories. The third category we have is racing moment of the year. So these are moments in races that really caught our attention. And again, I think there's actually plenty to discuss. I know we sort of chatted a few, but the first one that comes to
Yeah,
mind for me is the three-way sprint finish in San Francisco.
100%. What a moment that was. Screaming at the TV.
Oh, it was so exciting, sprint. Similarly, the mixed team relay, I think the sprint finish there was
Yeah.
fantastic. Like really, really, really fantastic.
The moment when Yi overhauled Wild in the end of the men's Olympic
Fuck yes.
triathlon.
One
That,
one
for me,
hundred
I don't
percent
think
yes.
any race has had quite the emotional, left the emotional dent on me that did.
That was awesome. What are some others? Any others that sort of come to mind? There was I think the Sam Laidlow blow up,
Sam Laidlow blowing up in Kona has to be
the
a
Patrick
racing moment.
Lang,
That
the Patrick Lang
Patrick
pass. That
Land going
yeah,
past him, giving a
yeah,
little tap.
Sam Laidlow blow up. That was a definitely a racing moment. Any other short course Super League things? Do we see any? Yeah, I think there's a few. We'll
What about
definitely
Hayden
come up with
Wilde
more.
finishing with one shoe?
Yeah, maybe that's more of a what the fuck moment,
Yeah,
probably.
maybe. Yeah, yeah.
Um, I feel like we saw some good. There was some close finishes in Super Try. No, I think look that's a starting point. I'm sure. Again, others, if you have them, please put them on our YouTube channel. Let us know. What
Yeah,
about
yeah.
triathlon?
We're open to more categories, more
Tyler
answers.
Mizerchuk vomiting at the finish line.
Yeah, yeah. That'd be a what the fuck moment, though, wouldn't
Probably actually.
it? Yeah.
What about triathlon non-racing moment of the year? Like some things that happened this year that were
That chap getting busted,
non-racing. Yeah, what's
came
his name?
positive.
What's his name? Thomas Rodriguez.
Thomas Rodriguez. Um, what other non-triathlon moments of the year?
Sam Laidlow's garage burning down.
Yeah,
Also
yeah,
probably a
yeah,
what the fuck moment, to be honest.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean, I think
just some things that have happened in the sport that have, yeah, 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 yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
triathlon's not a very mainstream sport, so anything that captures the attention of the mainstream is worth a mention. And
There's two that come
uh,
to mind, but they were both in races.
yeah, yeah. But Dino from Hoop got an MBA the other day,
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I'm going to
and
add
that
that.
it's not often you get people from our sport getting acknowledgement on a national scale.
And he's done a lot of good for the sport too. Like he's
Yeah.
one of those good guys. So look, we'll come back to I'll have a think about those and I'll add some more before we do it next year. Race of the year. I think, unfortunately, I know the winner of this, but we'll do it. So we've got, I think, all the big ones, right? We're going to put San Fran. That was probably one of the best races.
San Francisco, the male and the female Olympic races have got to be on there.
Yeah,
Kona's
Kona.
got to be on there. Nice has got to be on there. You've got to put all your big hitters on this and let people decide which one they have a preference for.
I agree. I mean, actually, do you race moment of the year? I want to put up the Alexi Hayden Wilde finish when Alex won and did the arms crossed. That's another one. I just want to go back and add that in there. It's for Hayden. Okay. The Lionel Award for chucking a Lionel. What are some?
Blumenfelt having too many muffins and puking his guts out on his bike in Kona.
I think that's a big contender for the Lionel Award. I mean, he won the race. He did win the race ultimately, but I know at the time when Sam Laidlow decided not to wear a wetsuit in London, I think I even said to you, well, that's a nomination for the Lionel Award if ever I've heard
Yeah.
one. But I wonder if
And
he can
also
do it because he won.
Laidlow just spending himself on the bike in Kona has to be in there because I mean he dug himself into such a hole that I won myself a curry watching that because I
What
said he's going to blow up on the run.
what about Anne Haug continuing to have punctures at every race she did this year?
Yeah.
And even in the past, right? I think we've seen that many weird tire things happen with Anne Haug. So Anne's tires can be a contender. There'll definitely be others. I'll come back to that one.
Yeah.
The other categories we have are most outspoken athlete. Who's been an athlete that's had plenty to say this year?
I mean, Laidlow's never short of a word or two, is he?
Just wonder if there's anybody who's come out and been quite vocal about anything. There probably has. I mean, we've already, but what the fuck moment of the year? There's, like I said, obviously Taylor in Dubai,
Yeah.
Tyler vomiting at the finish line, the Hayden and Alex
Yeah.
moment at the finish line, Sam Laidlow's blow up, Kristian vomiting in Frankfurt, still going on to win. Uh, yeah, there's a lot actually. I think that's going to be a big category. And then the final one is most exciting moment of the year. Again, I think we've probably covered it in a lot of the other categories. There's those sprint
Yeah,
finishes.
it'll be drawn from the other categories, wasn't it? Because there were so many moments that were very exciting this year.
So
Um, whether in
yeah,
person or on broadcast.
exactly. So as we sort of said, what we will do is we will set up a Google form with some nominees. I'll put that in our WhatsApp group as well as on our patreon.com/talking triathlon where our patrons can vote. And then next week we'll announce our podcast awards for 2024. Jimbo, we've done it. Another week done. We need to wrap this up because we have to record a bonus episode straight after this. If people want to find out more about Talking Triathlon, where do they need to go?
If you want to support the show, jump on at patreon.com/talking triathlon. You can follow Tim. He's at tfordfontaine on Instagram, and I'm at bale.james85 on Instagram. We are on Twitter, not on Twitter, we're on Instagram as at Talking Triathlon. And if you want to join the Patreon group, you'll get access to the monthly bonus episodes, the social group, the WhatsApp group, and in the Christmas period where there is a dearth of triathlon content, you will get a bonus episode for every week that we're away.
Exactly. I think we already know one of them is going to be a deep dive into Alistair Brownlee's career. And then, yeah, we'll open it up what our patrons want to hear. We'll do one about Alistair Brownlee and we'll do two others. We're going to record those next week. So they'll be available to our patrons. Jimbo, remember YouTube as well. Head to youtube.com/talking triathlon. Let us know your nominations there if you're not a patron or who you think should win some of those awards. Give us your picks for 70.3 Worlds this weekend. Yeah, James, a pleasure as always. I will talk to you in literally a minute when we do that bonus episode. But for everybody else, I'll talk to you next week.
Cheerio.